And we're
Hello,
live.
and
Hello.
welcome to Paranormal Versus. I'm Kel Ridley, and this is my co-host Michael Koff,
Hello.
and and we're here with a special guest tonight, Jocky.
Hiya.
So, Michael, I'm just going to let you crack on.
So, Jocky is kind of going to have to give us a moment because Kel and I I say Kel and I was doing genealogy and Kel asked me to do hers, and we found an interesting connection that we thought would be fun to share with everyone. So, if you all will bear with us, I got a 30-second presentation introducing the connection, and then Kel and I and Jockey can chime in about it. So, here we go. So, as you saw, Kel's 22nd great grandfather is Robert Bruce, who met my eighth cousin so many times removed, we won't even get into that met at a church, and my cousin was named the Guardian of Scotland after William Wallace resigned the position. And they found Robert the Bruce was secretly giving papers to England against my cousin, and so they had intentions, I believe, to come to a peaceful resolution, but we all know how Scottish tempers flare. And Robert snuck a knife into the meeting and stabbed and killed my cousin.
Sorry.
So, do we have that story right, Jockey?
Yep, you do. Yep. I meant to say to you as well. I actually only stayed 10 minutes from William Wallace's birthplace as well.
Wow.
They've got a kind of kind of small monument there, but it's only in a small town. It's in a place called Elderslie, which is in a place called Renfrewshire, and that's where he was born.
Wow.
Literally 10 minutes away.
What are the odds?
Yeah, I would love to go there.
Yeah. So I was just commenting when we were backstage how the universe works, that Kel and I find this Scottish connection, and our guest is from Scotland and happens to live near the location, a lot of these locations. So it's like, how perfectly timed is this that we found this all out? And I'm going to take a pause for a second because Kel's got a message here. Theo's watching. He's shouting, "Hi, Gran, talk to me."
Hi, Gran. Love you, Theo. What am I saying hi, Gran, for? I'm the Gran. Hi, Theo. Told you I'm not with it today. Hi, Theo. Love you.
Hi, Theo. And, okay, everyone in the chat room, if you please give StreamYard permission to use your name, we can identify you, because like here, we just know you're a Facebook user saying hi, so we would like to acknowledge you. And Kel, someone's noticed your title.
Yeah. Obviously, I'm the 22nd great granddaughter of Robert the Bruce, so I thought I'd change my title to Her Royal Highness. So everybody's got to call as Your Majesty from now on.
And y'all will notice I have TRG on my title, which stands for the Rifle Guardian. It's just a little play on the titles in our history. Just having a little bit of fun here.
No, you'd have to fight this for that title now.
If you notice, this is where I kind of do most of my pottering about.
So what is it exactly that you do anyway?
Well, obviously, I like to get in. I do paranormal investigations, but I also like to. How would you say? I kind of like to try and make affordable equipment something that's maybe slightly different than what's already on the market. So
Right.
I just come up with different things just to see. I don't know if they work as such, but it's a trigger object or a sensor object, so it's possible it could work during investigation. So I just try and make something that's maybe slightly different.
Right.
Do you have any examples you can show us of stuff
Um,
you've made?
I don't have most of the stuff that I make is actually away. It's actually I gift a lot of it to paranormal teams that are just starting. I sell the odd item. Well, for example, this is just this was a music box that I'd made.
Wow.
Okay.
And just put the, I don't know if you can see, and I've just put the group name on it on the side and on the top.
So on that music box, can you change the music, or is it set?
Yes, music can be changed. It can be altered to suit.
Wow.
This was a prototype. This was the first one that I'd made to try it. This is a shadow detector. Obviously, and it's 360 degrees, so it can be sat in a doorway or in the centre of a table. And ideally, if anything walks past, it's going to light. So I haven't seen any of these at all in the market.
Wow. So where do you find your inspiration to build stuff like this?
I just sit and I just think and see what I can come up with. It's slightly different.
Yeah.
And then I give it a go and I gift it to teams and let them try it in the field and see how they get on. But the equipment seems to be doing quite well. There's a lot of people interested in what I do.
Yeah.
So, and I've got another piece.
Question about your shadow detector. Does it log? Does it have like a log where it says, "Oh, we detected something in front," or
No, it doesn't log it. No, it's just a visual that if it flashes in front or it flashes behind or either side, you'll see the flash. But it's not as yet. It's not got a log. That's a good thing maybe to incorporate.
Right, because I know sometimes, like, I have a motion puck, and if I don't have a camera on it or standing there, I don't know it goes off.
Yeah,
so that's why I was curious if it has a log.
Yeah, I tended to put the K2 meters, wired speakers onto them as well, because I like to sit them in different rooms as well, because a lot of the times if you're live streaming, the K2 is picking up on the energy from the phone. Right. So I like to put a speaker on the back and sit in another room where I can hear the K2 going off while it's in another room.
That's a good idea.
I could either try and incorporate a log into the shadow detector or maybe put sound on it so that we know it's going off.
Yeah, that would be an interesting thing too would be is maybe put because there's 4 main areas, maybe do 4 different sounds so you can go, oh, something's in front of and to the left of the shadow device.
Yeah, well, I've kind of halfway started. It's a Ouija board, but it's going to work on the same way as the shadow tracker. I'm going to use it where the letters are going to light up when it's activated, and hopefully we can get letters, numbers, or even a name at some point through the Ouija board.
Wow.
You're pretty brave to be wanting to do a Ouija board.
Yeah, I've got 5 or 6 up on my wall just now.
Wow.
I like them.
Yeah, I've got a Ouija board. Mine's a self-propelled one. It was built by my old team member, team leader, Drew Bartley. He invents things like the way you do, so that's what he did. And everybody doesn't like the fact, like my best friend won't even give him the covers, especially when I've got the Ouija board.
Is that the board where it's got copper? You put your finger on the copper?
No, it's you don't touch it at all. It's all done with magnets, and it's like got a can't remember the name of it. Electrical magnetic field that it's meant to like obviously pump out, so you don't have to actually touch it yourself.
Right,
so in theory, it should move on its own.
Yeah, so it's working off EMF.
Yeah,
but it's triggering it. Yep. This is my latest. This is my latest thing. I'm kind of halfway through this. This is going to be a Ouija board that's going to work off sensors.
Wow.
And when it stops the letter, it'll light up in a letter.
Mm-hmm.
When the motor's reversed, it'll either be the yes, no, or maybe or unknown will light up as well in the inner circle.
Yeah.
So what will happen is this should run one way, and when the other sensor picks up, it will run the other way to activate the inside circle.
Wow.
But this unit here will be left in a room where we are, and I'm going to have a couple of sensors coming off it, radar sensors, which I can place into another room or two rooms, and hopefully activate this from the other two rooms and see if we can get a response that way. So this is something I'm working on just now.
That is so cool.
That is cool. And
yeah,
going back to your shadow device, Leslie McDermott has a question for you, and I'm hoping I pronounced her name right. He says, if that's a prototype, how many have you made and have you changed anything?
I think I've made maybe in total, I've maybe made about 20. I've not made any changes as it was the kind of first. No, it was my first design, so I kind of stuck with it. It's working well. But now that I've come on and spoke to you, Michael, I think I'll be looking at either try to create a log or some kind of sound within the device.
Yeah. Just to point out that Leslie's one of my team members and one of my best friends, so she's quite up to date with the technology and stuff like that. So she'll be quite interested in seeing what you've got.
Yep. Well, I will be making changes. I think everything's always up for upgrading.
Right. And I remember I first met you, online met you, when you built the square box.
Oh.
The yes, no, and all those light devices.
Yeah, that's right. Again, it works on the same kind of principle. It's I've kind of made it into a pendulum board where the lights will light up yes, no, maybe, unknown. It'll also work from a pendulum as well if somebody wants to use a pendulum. It's more or less for a visual. When you're on investigation, people can see where it's lighting up, whether it be yes, no, or...
Right. And how successful was that? Because I remember you were talking about you had just made it and were testing it out.
We've had a good few responses from it. There's a few teams now have got it. I'm not sure what kind of responses they have from it. I don't speak to them. The people that actually buy them. But there's a few teams here in the UK now using them. So I believe that they would be working well.
Okay. Another Facebook user says, do you need to use Wi-Fi or GPS for most of your inventions?
No, definitely not. They're just standalone devices where they're just kept mobile.
Can I just ask everybody who's got the Facebook user, they don't give the permission for StreamYard. The name's not gonna come up. So can you all just put your name at the end of your questions, please, if you don't mind? Then it'll make it easier for us to figure out who you are.
So one thing I was noticing, Jocky, on that device you were just showing us with the letters
Yeah.
Everything is. One thing I was noticing is sometimes, like, we'll say how many are here. Is there 1, 2, 3? And so it's like it'd be interesting to see if there was a way to put numbers on there, maybe that they can light up 6.
Yeah. That device is not. That device is not going to be the prototype. I do know that I'm going to have to incorporate numbers into it as well. That was just it was like a first print, shall we say, just to see that I could get the wheel and the base correct. So now that that's all working that way, I can incorporate numbers in there as well.
It'd be interesting to see if, I don't know if it's possible, because like a lot of times we try to ask the spirits what year is it, if there was a way they could light up a year, but I would think those devices would have to be too large to incorporate all the years.
Well, it would be possible to build a bigger unit. Always looking for a way to improve.
Yep. Matt Atkinson says, how does the equipment pick up all the anomalies?
How does the equipment pick it? It's basically, most of it is motion, but use all different types of sensors to catch that motion, as it were. Whether it be infrared sensors, radar sensors, motion sensors, that's the way they'll pick up.
I'm wondering, does it use some of the same as like the spirit boxes to get responses, or is that different because those are voice?
Yeah, they're different. They're more, how would you say it? Obviously, that is an audio, so that's obviously picking up on white noise and things like that. We don't. This equipment won't run as an audio.
There's somebody that's keep asking about your dolls as well, mentioning your dolls.
Oh yeah, I think pretty much everybody's done the dolls. The REM pod dolls and static dolls and musical dolls with K2s. I've been there and done all them. I try to look forward to something just slightly different than what's there.
Yeah. So Matt's got another question that I get asked a lot too, and with you being an equipment maker, you may be able to answer better. Is how do you know what you're picking up is paranormal?
Well, everybody debunks a lot of stuff, don't they? Like some of the sensors that I use as well, we'll try and debunk where we're in a location and maybe it's picked up on a bug, or a fly going onto the sensor. You're never guaranteed to know exactly if you're picking up the paranormal. You've just got to keep trying different things and debunk where possible.
So I'm just kind of curious because a lot of your devices are of the non-audio kind of like REM pod, or like you're now working on the Ouija board, upgrading it. So what is your call to focus on those instead of branching out and doing some of the other like paranormal equipment and maybe improving on that?
Yeah, well, I have kind of looked into maybe trying to upgrade on spirit boxes as well. I've not had the chance, I've not had the time to start that as yet, but I was kind of thinking, how could I improve a spirit box? So I'm kind of looking into that as well. I like to do a bit of homework, and find out exactly what's required for the project in hand.
Right, because I can probably vouch for probably half of the paranormal investigator community of, if you could get rid of that white noise on the spirit box and make it clearer and easier to understand, I think you could probably make a mint at that.
Yeah, well, I was actually talking to, I go out with another couple of teams, and we were actually talking about that just about 2 weeks ago. And we're setting the task that we're going to try and build a spirit box like that, where it's just quiet and only a response will come from it when it's needed.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
So Matt is obviously very curious in the developing stage, as he's wanting to know: do you use specialist or off-the-shelf components for your equipment?
Typically, it's off-the-shelf components, but certain things or certain components try and modify them to make them perform slightly better. But most of the stuff is off the shelf. Yep. A lot of the chips and the modules, they're very expensive if you want to try and make one of these modules yourself. Obviously, you've got to go to PCB specialists to make these boards. I tried to do an EMF light unit module, and I was quoted, I think we were over £2,000 for 3 chips.
Wow.
So it wasn't cost effective. So it's off the shelf components just now.
Yep.
So do
I'm
you
gonna have to
actually?
be right back because I gotta go see what my dogs are barking at, and I'm the only
Yep.
one here right now. So I'll be right back.
Okay. I was going to ask. So do you actually test your equipment yourself at home, or do you just send it out into the field?
Well, I make it at home. I try and test it at home, but most of the time, when it's complete, I'll take it out myself and I'll try it a couple of times in the field, just to see how it's going to react, how it's going to work. And then what I'll do, people obviously see it, and then on my page, and they'll say, well, can we get one or can we buy one? So that's when I end up just making a few. But I tend to help a lot of paranormal teams out, up and coming paranormal teams that can't really afford much. So
Yeah.
I tend to gift them it.
Yeah.
And let
That's
them
generous.
use it. And I've done that with a lot of the big teams in the UK as well.
Wow.
I've sent a few units out to some of the largest teams in the UK to test it. So
wow. So have you had any really positive responses of certain ones, or is there one actual piece of equipment that people are really liking?
I would say that my personal favourite is the music box. I love the music box. The music box always seems to respond well when it's set away somewhere else. But again, it could be a flyer, it could be a bug coming over the sensor, but that's the one that seems to give off most responses, whether it be paranormal or not.
Yeah.
So that's my favourite, even though there's a lot of music boxes out there, but that's my kind of favourite.
So I'm kind of curious, Jocky, do you have any notions of developing like a piece of equipment, like you're saying, like the box that you had developed, but putting it on wheels and that it can like follow you in the room, so you don't have to like pick it up every time and move it somewhere, make some of them mobile?
What do you mean, like put a chip in it, much like a drone, where it'll follow you walking through rooms,
or not necessarily like drone? Well, you could do drone if you wanted to, or like you could mount it on like wheels, like you would do like a remote control car.
I was actually just thinking the same thing there.
Sorry, and being able to, like, say if you hear something and you want to go real quick to a room and check, you can have someone go, oh, and use like a joystick or something and drive the equipment into the room with you, so you don't have to stop, pick it up, and you can get to.
That's actually quite a good idea, to be fair.
Have a camera mounted on it as well.
Yep. Just put it on like an electric remote control car base, and just when it's ready, just go. And like you said, Kel, maybe a GoPro or something on it, or a full spectrum camera where it can go in the dark.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Amazing.
Yeah.
You know, if you put a full spectrum camera on it, couldn't you also mount next to it a camera looking back that could record everything it's picking up and receiving for you?
Well,
So
you
you
could
don't
put
have
you
to.
could put a 360 camera on there.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
Especially
then
if
you
there's
don't have
places
to
that
have.
you kind of get into, and it's like if it's like a tiny hole or something like that,
Yeah,
a little car can go through and a human can't.
yeah, that's right. Maybe under
That'd
a
be
door,
amazing.
maybe under a doorway that's locked, but it's got
Yeah.
a gap at the bottom.
Hmm.
Right. And also, when you're investigating, you don't have to sit there and be focused on is the camera in the right spot to get the answers.
Yeah.
You can just investigate and know the machine is doing everything. And Matt has chimed in with, can you mask out white noise by matching sampling the frequencies so one will cancel out the other, like how noise canceling headphones work?
I'm not 100% sure on that, but I know that I can definitely mask out the white noise. That the white noise is not a problem, but I'm not sure how that would work the same as noise cancelling headphones. But there is the white noise can be removed successfully, no problem.
I wonder if there's a way you could take an Ovilus because they can voice responses, but there's no white noise.
Yeah, well, see, to be fair, a lot of people want the white noise gone in these spirit boxes, but majority of the time it's the white noise that you're listening to. It's what's coming through the white noise. It's not what's coming through like the radio frequency. You're actually listening through the white noise for the white noise to be manipulated. Well, that's just my opinion.
Well, then I'm wondering, is there a way like you can turn down the white noise itself so you can hear the differences better? Because that's my complaint is I'll hear the white noise and I'll hear a response, but I can't make out what it says because the white
Yeah.
noise is so
Do you know
loud.
the problem? The problem is white noise. People don't like to hear the white noise, and that's the problem. It's an annoying thing, the white noise. But I think the white noise is where the answers lie.
Right. I'm just meaning.
Yeah, so that you can. Yeah, just I know what you mean. Just tone it down using using an equalizer, trying to bring it down where it's no as annoying and it's a bit clearer within the white noise itself.
Right. Like you can hear like if a spirit said jockey, you could hear that over these white noise. Still have the white noise going, but be able to understand better and
Yeah.
clear what you're getting.
For example, like the old movies that Poltergeist, where she's the little girl sitting in front of the TV and the white noise is going, but you can hear what's being said.
Right. Yeah, that would be nice because yeah, that's what annoys me about the white noise is I cannot differentiate what's being said versus the white noise.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
hear, but I can hear different audio tunes. Like we have a grandfather clock that plays different songs that are just a micro beat off, and I can tell there's a difference. And he's like, "That's unusual. Most people can't." And I'm
yeah,
like, "Why can I hear that difference but not differentiate the white noise?"
yeah, yeah. Yeah, be nice to have it working that way. You're giving me so many different tasks now.
We want royalties for this, you know.
I'm going to when I leave here, I'm going to have to destroy everything I've built and start again.
No, don't destroy. Just build upon.
Yep, yep,
Yeah, I think it's good that you can actually do that. It's like amazing.
yep.
Yeah.
I'm over the next couple of weeks as well. I've got another project. I'm going to build. Is it the God's helmet?
What's that?
Do what?
God's helmet.
Okay, you're gonna have to explain this one.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a helmet. Obviously, it's placed on the head. It's got electromagnets strategically placed for different parts of the brain. when these magnets, you've got positive and negative magnets, and it's meant to stimulate the brain, and it's meant to make you kind of a psychic, a medium, so to speak. It allows the brain to you say what your brain's telling you to say, and it's all through. It's harmless, and it's all done through strategically placed magnets on the helmet, which you can turn up and down. You know the strength of the magnet. Pretty harmless, but another great piece of equipment. So I'm going to be building that.
What made you come up with the idea? What made you come up with the idea for that?
It's things I've seen in the past years ago, and the God helmet is about. But there's, unless somebody wants to pay £600, £700, £800 or dollars to get one of these, then nobody's going to own one. They're very few and far between. Nobody does them.
Right.
So I was thinking when you were describing this helmet, I remember, I think it was the show Ghosts of Morgan City, where they put a helmet on and it had a visor down, and they were able to see the spirit world and show what they were seeing, but they were getting side effects from it.
Yeah, well, you can put down a visor. There is other people put LEDs, flashing LEDs, so that the magnets are on, the LEDs are flashing. It's meant to take away all your senses, you know, much like the Estes experiment. And it takes away all your senses. You've got your LEDs flashing, you've got your magnets running, and if you put on a pair of earphones as well, it cuts off all the senses, and it should work where your brain is telling your mouth what to say, basically.
Wow, I gotta say, I'm not quite sure. You know, I'd be comfortable with that, because sometimes I gotta filter what's going through my brain before it comes out my mouth.
In fact, I'll tell you where you will see a God helmet. There was a show that was on one of the Netflix, I'm not sure. 28 Days Haunted.
I remember that show.
Well, I think it was a husband and wife that were investigating, and I'm sure in one of the episodes he puts on a God helmet near the end.
I'll have to go back and rewatch that.
Oh, yeah.
I'd have to try that.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping to have one up and ready in the next 2 to 3 weeks. We've got a big investigation. I think it's the 13th of May, and I'm hoping to have one ready so that we can use it in this location that we're going to.
Wow.
So going back to the Scottish part of, you know, what we were talking about, do you ever go and investigate like places in Scotland where, like, say, William Wallace was, or any of those that draws you there, or are you more like, hey, I live so close, forget it?
Well, I've did a few castles where William Wallace, his legends are meant to have been, but to be honest, we get fed up of castles here. You know, there's that many, and they're all in quite close proximity of each other, so it gets a bit tedious. There's some castles where we've got big dungeons and things, but you can never, you can't do a live stream or anything there. But I'm not as keen on castles. I like to do, like, you know, old mansion buildings and things like that. I would love to come to America and do some of the old hospitals and things like that over there.
In the asylums.
Sick of castles.
See, I think that's what's kind of funny, and that's kind of what our show's about. Is I'd be like, man, if I could do castles, I would be like once a week in heaven doing a different castle every week or every few days, because we don't have a lot of castles here.
Well, I was like that when I first started, but I'd before I even started in doing paranormal investigations, I had visited most of these castles in the past anyway, and I went out and I've did most of the castles here, and I'm just looking for something new.
So I'm kind of curious, and I'm not sure on geography of Scotland. Unfortunately, I'm not that keen on it, but both Kel and I are interested in the Battle of Culloden. Have you been there and investigated there?
I've personally not been there. I've been and I've visited it. I've just never had the chance to investigate it as such. A lot of history, a lot of history there, but just never had the chance to investigate it.
It's definitely on my bucket list.
Mine too.
Yeah.
And so, where in Scotland have you investigated that you really like, and where are places like you're saying you're wanting to go to new places? So, where are some of those that you're wanting to get to?
One's on the bucket list that I would like to go to would be the Winchester House. Is it a place called Willow's Weep? Have you heard of that? Willow's Weep. And there's another place as well. Is it Hull House Hospital or Hillview?
Come on, Michael, you're the expert in America.
We do have a lot of houses here that are haunted. I have heard of Hell House, but I'm not sure if it's the same one that you're thinking of, because there's like two or three. That's the problem with here in America. Like, for example, we have Hill House like an hour and a half from my house. Then there's Hill House Manor, which is like an hour north of where I live. And then over like 3 states over is another Hill House.
Yeah.
Area. So it's like we like to reuse names apparently here in America. So it gets really confusing when people say, "Oh, I want to go investigate here," and you're like, "Oh, wait, no, this isn't the one. I wanted to go to this one."
We don't seem to have that problem over here. We don't reuse loads of names. It's like there's only one Hadrian's Wall.
Yeah, and how many times have you been there, Kel?
Oh God, this again.
You brought it up.
Have you been to Hadrian's Wall then? Yeah.
It's like 200 yards away from your house.
Yeah.
And I've never been.
Investigated it once.
No, I've been walked around. I haven't actually investigated.
Oh, I thought you were investigating it the other day.
No, I was going to go up, and obviously I couldn't get there, so I decided to stay, and it was raining.
I went to Hadrian's Wall once when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
And it's it is just a small wall in it. It's quite large in places, but it's just like a dry stone dike, isn't it?
So Matt is asking, what has been the best verification of paranormal activity you've ever captured using your equipment?
Well, first of all, it's hard to say that it has been paranormal to begin with. It's just like every other team, all the equipment, we get responses from all different equipment. But I would still say it's possibly not been paranormal.
So where's your favourite place that you've actually been to investigate?
Trying to think. We've been to that many. I enjoyed. There's a big thing about this, but I enjoyed 30 East Drive. I've been a couple of times, and that personally, to me, we've had quite good responses from 30 East Drive, but not everybody gets the response. It's a lot of money for an overnight stay, but personally, for me, I love 30 East Drive. I do think there's something about it.
So what sort of things did you capture when you were there?
Oh, well, we've had shadows, we've had good EVPs where we've heard growling. We've used, obviously, the SLS cameras. Get good responses there using that. But we've actually had REM pods and things going off. We used cameras and we put cameras through the whole house, and we had different responses in different rooms running on the camera. And we were getting REM pods going off on the bed upstairs, another device going off in the other bedroom. So we were getting quite good responses from each drive.
What's your opinion on the SLS cameras as well?
SLS cameras, in my opinion, if used in the right way, I think they're quite good. If you leave an SLS camera facing against a blank wall, a blank flat wall, that's the best way to use it, I think, because anything coming in or out, it'll map.
Yeah.
But as you know, the SLS cameras, they pick up on if there's a crack in the wall or whatever, it'll map it as a figure, or a tree outside, it'll map it as a figure.
Yeah.
So I think if it's used against a black flat surface, a blank flat surface, then I think it's a good piece of equipment if used correctly.
Right.
What do you think about the idea of a 360 SLS camera?
Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah.
There'd be a lot of work involved in doing that, though, I think.
Well, and you would have to find a room that has flat walls on all four sides because, yeah, Jocky's right. When you have like a piece of furniture or something sticking out from the wall, it starts mapping that furniture as the spirit moving around. And that's where I've noticed a lot of people, I think, are getting false positives, thinking they're catching spirits moving around somewhere because they're mapping something sticking out of the wall that they don't realize.
Yeah, even like a door edge or the door frame, it still picks it up and maps it as a stick figure.
Yeah.
Right. And have you used string lights?
String lights, yeah, I've got the EMF string lights. I use them.
Wow.
That is probably my favourite piece of equipment is the EMF string lights, and I prefer to use them where there's no electricity. An abandoned building where there's no electricity at all, there's nothing can affect it. The phone itself doesn't affect it until you're like a couple of centimetres away. All the lights work independently. They'll only light up where the EMF is detected.
Wow.
And they're a really nice bit of equipment.
So I have a question for you, Jocky, that might be a future piece of equipment. So EVPs are electromagnetic phenomenon that's picked up and translated into voice. So is it possible someday that we will have like something that we could plug into like our handheld recorders or our cell phones that will light up when we're getting an EVP response to a question during a session?
Yeah, I believe that kind of technology will be out there just now. It's just not been incorporated into EVP devices for the paranormal as yet. But I do believe that technology is there.
Yeah, because that's the one frustrating thing is because you ask a question and everybody has different ideas of how long to wait for the response before you ask the next question. And then you got to go back and listen. And then if you don't know if you heard something or if it was just a blip on the recording. And so, yeah, that would be, I think, super helpful if you're sitting there and all of a sudden a light comes on and you're like, okay, I know I got to go back to this time frame to listen to hear what they said.
Yeah, yeah.
So how long have you actually been making equipment for and doing like research into the paranormal?
Researching for the paranormal, probably only the last 3 or 4 years. Making equipment, maybe the last couple of years, I've been making pieces and just dabbling really to see what I could come up with. But I've been doing that for maybe about 2 years.
Right.
But
So what got you into it in the first place?
well, I was thinking of this earlier as well. It's something from when I was a child. We played the Ouija board when I was a child, and we had things happen in the house after it. We were kids at the time, me and my friends, and we made a homemade Ouija board. Nothing ever happened, but it was in my house, and things started happening in my house for weeks after it, to the point where my dad was working away, and my mum had woke up that she had a choking sensation as though she was being strangled. So we actually, in the end up, we got the priest in to bless the house. The house had to be blessed. I had things, if I was lying with my hand out of bed at night, I was getting grabbed. And this was from childhood. And ever since then, I've always had an interest in the paranormal. I've just never ever really took up investigating, but it's always been an interest into why that happened as a child.
Wow.
Yeah, I find it kind of funny. You say we played with the Ouija board and nothing happened, and then you go, and then all this stuff started happening around the house. I'm like, could it be from the Ouija board usage?
Maybe.
Well, at that age, you're messing with the board. You don't know what you're doing. You're not aware. You're having to shut it down and do everything correct. So you don't know if there was that small chance that something had came through.
Right. And Matt has a question, but it's one we've already touched on. And so, unfortunately, I don't know if you want to re-answer it or, unfortunately, Matt, you may have to go back to the beginning. But he's wanting to know where you find your inspiration from to invent all the equipment.
It's much just sitting like everybody else does, and you overthink and you try and put that thought and try and make what you've just thought about. So you're just always thinking. You're just always trying to find out what's different.
Well, you've got quite a few ideas to go on now, haven't you? You've got to be busy.
I know. I like the idea of the camera on the kind of remote controlled base.
Yeah.
I like the idea of that.
Yeah.
And one of the other things I was thinking of too, like maybe doing instead of music, is maybe with the shadow box, have a deal that says, hey, motion detected east quadrant or quadrant 1, and then which quadrants are which.
That'd be good as well. Yeah, well, like I said, the music can be changed to some kind of audio. So when it's played, obviously that would give you the alert.
So could it be like any kind of audio?
Yep.
So it could be like the theme for Ghostbusters or something.
Yep. But if you're going live on Facebook, if you're doing an investigation, then copyrights would kick in. So you've got to be very careful.
Yep.
Whereas, like Michael has just said, if you said that it triggered in the left quadrant or whatever, then obviously it's no copyright. It's just audio.
Yeah. Michael, you got anything to ask?
I'm just curious, when we were talking about, before we were backstage, and you were saying that you had a device that you were working on, that you were kind of in the process of making. Did we can you talk about that one some more, or did we already hit on that one?
Yeah, we've hit on it already. Yeah, the one with the round Ouija.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure we.
Yeah.
That's amazing, that one. I'd definitely love to try something like that.
Yeah, well, what is your team, Kelly?
And my team's Geordie Supernatural Research.
You'll need
Couldn't get any
to.
words out there.
Do you go out quite regular?
We haven't been out much this year. I think we've only been out once this year, but that's because I've been ill. So hopefully, I mean, in the next couple of months, we're going to be going out really regular. Now the weather's picked up as well. So
well, once I get this working the way I want to get it working, I'll be happy enough to send you one down to trial it.
Oh, that would be amazing. Thank you. Yeah,
If that's one that you like.
Yeah, definitely. We're planning on coming up to Scotland anyway to do some research into my family's history that Michael's done. So we're going to do like little videos and try and get some investigations done when we come up there as well.
Yeah, and what I'll do is when I've done the God helmet as well, if I'll send you the finished article, I'll show you what the finished article looks like and how it works.
Wow,
that'd be awesome.
Yeah, that would be absolutely amazing.
It's pretty safe. The God helmet's pretty safe. The magnets are not strong enough to interfere with anything in your brain and damage anything.
Right. I'm not really worried about that. I'll try anything, maybe.
You say that now.
Well, yeah, you only live once.
So Matt has got a good question for you. Is how can people contact you to commission the build of some equipment?
Message. Just get me on Facebook.
Yeah, that's a good answer for you.
I'll be honest. That's how I found him, and he responds.
I think we have been friends for a good couple of years, Michael.
We have, and we talk here and there.
Yep.
It's kind of hard for me being in the States to go when you are sharing your equipment and going, yeah, that'd be great, because it's like, yeah, I know it costs an arm and a leg to ship to the U.S.
I don't think it's that expensive, to be fair.
It is. Yeah.
I'm saying that the last time I sent something, I think we were only about £25 or something to send it across.
Yeah, I did a small parcel about 2 years ago, and it was £22.
Chances as prices have went up like everything else then.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
Oh, you got a fan in the chat group. They said Paranoia UK is Jocky Solomon Mackay's page.
Yep. I don't know who that is. Facebook user.
Yeah, someone says, I can't believe I missed most of this. Well, the fortunate for you is as soon as we stop, it'll be on replay, so you can catch it right away. I'm thinking it's Pat is the one who is sharing that Paranormal UK is your page.
Patricia, maybe?
I'm just wondering what it was that Matt wants to commission you to make.
I wonder what it is.
Yeah, it's got me thinking there now as well.
Do you want me to let you know when I get the message?
Oh, it's all right. You'll tell us anyway. I'll ask him after this.
I think Pat is saying, yeah, it's Patricia.
See, with a lot of my equipment as well, I wasn't overly confident when I was building it, and that was the reason I tended to gift a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
But everything seems to work as it should. But I just felt, and within myself, that is it all right? Is it working? Will it do its job?
Right, and I'll be honest. One of the reasons why I kept I know you had your reservations about being on a podcast.
Yeah.
And everything because you're more in the equipment. And I've been talking with Kel and some others. And it's like, we really need to share some of these independent equipment makers because everyone's like going to the top name people spending a fortune. And you may be at like half the price for equipment that's just as good, and
Probably less than half the price.
Yeah.
I try to be as fair as I can where possible.
yeah, and so that's why I kept saying to you, yeah, it'd be great to get you on the show, is to get your name out there and share it
Definitely.
out so that people in the UK, especially, if they're like, man, this equipment's not working really well,
Yeah.
they can reach out to you and go, hey, can you make this work better or not be so?
I will be honest. Chat shows are way out my comfort zone. I'm more into building my equipment and going out, and I'll go live on an investigation. I'm quite happy there. Just a bit out my comfort zone on a chat show.
Yeah, we
But
don't bite.
no, no, on the first show, as you said.
So
Well,
Facebook
we used to be
user says
uncomfortable.
your
Yeah.
your equipment's amazing and very reasonably priced.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Michael, we used to be uncomfortable when we used to first start these shows, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. We got used to it though.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I can go and live stream a paranormal investigation, and I'm fine in front of the camera doing my thing. I think it's just my mind's obviously in the investigation, and I'm quite happy in front of the camera.
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing about me that I was talking with on another podcast show that I do, and it's kind of funny because I give this persona of being outgoing, extroverted, really talkative, when in fact my true nature is shy. Like if you put me in a room full of people, I will probably talk to 3 out of 20 people and consider I did my mingling job. That's what I'm comfortable with.
Well,
I'm not comfortable going to everybody.
you've not been shy tonight. Kel's hardly had a word in.
I know, I can't even get a word in edgeways this week. It makes a change. Matt says, obviously you need to invent some spirit goggles. That's a good idea.
Yeah, there's all sorts of good ideas out there. It's just getting them into putting them together.
Yeah.
And figuring out if you have the equipment to make them.
Well, it's not so much that. It's just working out your electronic capabilities.
Is he talking about actual spirit goggles, or we're talking about like beer goggles here?
I think much the same. Put on the goggles, take 9 pints, and you'll see whatever you like.
Exactly. So have you been to? Well, yeah, you have been to the UK, haven't you? You've just said you've went to East Drive. Have you been anywhere else in the UK to investigate?
I was down in a place near Wales just before the end of last year. Oh, Bakewell House Museum.
Right.
Have you heard of that?
I don't think I have.
It's a museum house, but I went in there with the invite from Ghosts of Britain Project Reveal.
Right.
I went in there with them. That's the home of the Bakewell Tart.
Mm-hmm. All right. Yes.
Yep, and it's an old museum in there. I don't know what they paid for it, but I know it was a very expensive venue. But we've did loads up and down the UK. We've been everywhere. I travelled down into England maybe 6-7 times a year. We've actually got Derby Jail at the end of June. Mm-hmm. You know, Richard Felix's place.
Yeah.
That we've got that booked for the end of June. We've got a jail on the 13th of May as well. That's up here. It's called Inverary Jail. It's a very old jail. It's also a museum as well, courthouse. Wow. So we're doing that on the 13th of May. We don't always do derelict stuff. We do try and book some venues as well.
Someone says I can't wait to go to that.
I don't know who it is.
Facebook user, that's all I know.
What is it with the chat tonight? It's like everybody that's coming through from Facebook, if the name's not coming through. Doesn't usually get that bad.
Can't wait to go. Can't wait to go to that. That's Emma.
It's Emma.
Yeah, that's. I go out with. We go out with Emma every other Saturday. She's a card reader in that as well.
Oh, brilliant.
She's called All Things Spiritual and Paranormal, when we all go out together. We always go out together every Saturday. She's from a haunted area. She lives in Edinburgh.
Right. Yeah, I know Edinburgh.
Yeah.
So
I was just going to ask you, have you ever investigated the tunnels under Edinburgh?
I've never investigated it. We were invited into a bar in Edinburgh, and it goes into the vaults of Edinburgh, and we were allowed to go in there and then do an investigation there, which was part of the vaults, and it's directly beneath the witch's circle in the vaults. We went and did that. We were invited into that. We've been invited to go back at any point as well.
Wow.
So
that's cool. I've been to Mary King's Close. I've been there before.
Yeah, I think Emma, who's on chat, she's done Mary King's Close.
Yeah, that place is amazing.
Yeah, there's a lot of history in Edinburgh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they've got that. What's that graveyard called? Is it Greyfriars?
Greyfriars.
Yep. Yeah, I've heard loads of stuff about that place.
Yep, Emma on chat. She's been to all the areas as well.
Wow.
But I think a lot of the places now, they don't allow you to film it as such, live stream and things. Right. I don't know what, there's some kind of rights thing that is saying that you're not allowed to go in and film.
Oh.
I kind of get the feeling it's because they don't want it to become a place like where people are going to come and mistreat the area. Like,
no, I think it's more for money, I think.
Well, yeah, there's that too.
You can pay to do these things, but even though it's public, but you're not free to move around them and film and stream in these places unless there's money that goes across.
Typical. That's the worst thing about the paranormal, though. Lately, it's all about money.
Yeah.
Not about the research.
And it's a lot of these venues, that's the price of some of the venues, you know, for maybe 4 hours, for 10 o'clock to 2 in the morning, and you can pay anything for £300 to £1,000.
Wow.
In some of these locations.
Yeah. It's getting ridiculous.
I gotta say, it's kind of fun doing Kel's genealogy because I'm like curious if our family like crosses paths again. It's like I keep going back and going, okay, where's the next connection going to be, or is it going to be a one-shot done?
Well, I think if you come across to the UK and you meet Kel, then history might repeat itself.
I might kill you.
No, wait. So it wasn't my direct ancestor. It was a cousin.
Well, it's still a relative. Relative's a relative.
A grievance is a grievance.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I know.
And we hold a grudge for like centuries, our family.
No, but that was the other thing I was going to point out, though, that is something I think in the paranormal that people don't think about is the history, you know, like Cal and I, yeah.
Have you kicked him off?
I haven't touched it. He's disappeared. He'll come back on in a second anyway. But what he was talking about is like the history of things. It's like some people don't realize like what was actually in places before, like it's like housing estates and stuff like that when there was like manor houses there originally.
Yeah, or it was maybe a war field, you know, people.
Yeah.
A battlefield and things like that, sitting there before, hundreds of years before the houses were even thought about.
Right, Michael, I see you back. You can continue.
Yeah. I don't know what I was going to make a comment about the history, and then my computer just blipped out and said, there's no internet. I was like, what I was going to say wasn't bad. You didn't have to ban me for it.
But you just popped out of existence. It was funny.
Yeah. What I was gonna say is, in paranormal, we don't look at the history, and it's like, yes, we had that moment in history, but it's like we had the opportunity today to, like, Kel has said, she apologizes for her half. I've said I've apologized for my half. And it's like we're able to free that and, bring closure to it several centuries later. But
Yeah.
Well, that's how it's meant to work.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I think, that, has an impact too in the field of, we overlook that part of history and saying, and there's like a German POW camp nearby where I investigate. And I can go there and, and I can say, yes, I'm German, and no, we did not partake in this part, but I do apologize for, the atrocities. I am sorry they had to happen. And I think that ripples out and has big impact on the paranormal.
Yeah, yeah. Well, all these things happened for the freedom we've got today, unfortunately.
Yep.
Yep.
So anyway, so where can people find you? What's your Facebook page? Is it just your name?
Yep, you can get me on my name or on my paranormal page. It's just Paranormal Paranoia UK.
Right.
You can get me there and message through the page if they prefer.
Right. So if anybody's got any brilliant ideas on any equipment that they want built, to get in touch with Jocky.
Yep, just
Jocky.
hit me up. Yep.
Not with
And Jocky, you're on our Paranormal Versus group page, aren't you?
Yep.
So you can message them there as well.
Yeah.
Yep. You can write. Yep.
Yep.
Excellent.
It's been, like I say, it's been absolutely amazing learning about your equipment and stuff like that. So, like, if we can get your name out there, and what you do and stuff like that, that's great.
Thanks very much. It's the kind of first time it's ever been kind of broadcast, about just the equipment.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been nice.
Yeah. It wasn't as bad as what you thought it was going to be, was it?
No, not at all. Not at all. It's just out my comfort zone, sitting doing chat shows, but
yeah,
I thought might as well just go for it.
Yeah, you've done really well. Really, really well. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Matt.
And thank you, Matt. He says
Thanks,
we
Matt.
did a great show.
Thanks for all the questions.
Yeah. Sorry, I blipped out once and had to walk away once.
And thanks to the Facebook users.
Yeah, every single one of them.
So I have a theory of why that's coming through this way. Is StreamYard doesn't allow me to chat to the Facebook page, our group page. We can broadcast there, but I can't comment to it. And so I'm thinking everybody that's on our group page that's commenting is showing up as user. It's not giving them the option to put their name, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, possibly. Oh well.
I don't know. And StreamYard is strange because I used to stream directly to my personal page, and I would get off the show and I would see like 13 questions on my personal page that never showed up in chat. And to find out it's the same thing, it's the reverse where anybody on my personal page couldn't, StreamYard won't register their questions or comments. I was like, geez.
Right, I think we're going to have to wrap it up now. It's that time. So I'll just finish off by thanking you again for coming on the show. And if anybody gets in touch with us, we'll forward it on straight on to you. But I'm damn sure people will be wanting your equipment.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been nice to meet the two of you.
And you.
Yes, it's been a pleasure meeting you. I've enjoyed the stories and hearing about where the equipment came from and what it's possibly evolving into.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I look forward to actually trying some of your equipment as well. That'll
Like I
be
say,
really interesting.
when I get that one finished and done the way I want it, I'll send you one down.
Brilliant, excellent. And
All right.
I'll let all the, like, obviously everybody know what happens, like what we can pick up and stuff like that, and obviously give you a shout out for it.
Yep, and we'll see what I come up with in the next few weeks.
Yeah, that'll
Yeah.
be interesting.
I'll keep you in the loop.
That'll be
Yeah,
good.
feel free to share all any of your equipment to the
Yep, no
group
problem.
chat, or not group chat, the group page.
Yeah.
Okay, Doc.
Michael, do you want to close up this week?
All right. So thank you to the chat room. Thank you to our awesome guest, Jocky. Thank you to history for, who would have ever thought in the UK and the US we actually would have a legit connection. But I will say this to all who are watching this and going out this weekend: have fun, get great evidence, and always be mindful of the history of where you're at, because you never know what impact it may have on you or someone around you. Good night, everyone.
Good
Good
night.
night.